Hello and welcome to Foundations for Algebra, Unit 4A, Lesson 8. Today, scholars will find the volume of cones and use the volume formula to find missing dimensions. So we are going to find the volume of cones and use that formula. So, first we need to talk about how do we find the volume of a cone. Well, you see here, a cone is like an ice cream cone. So it's sort of triangular crosswise, but it has a circular top. It fits inside a cylinder. The volume formula for cones and cylinders are very similar. So the volume of a cylinder is pi times the radius squared times the height. The volume of a cone is 1/3 of pi times the radius squared times the height. So the cone's volume is exactly 1/3 of the cylinder's volume. You can also think of it as pi times the radius squared times h divided by 3. So try to imagine 3 cones that fit inside a cylinder if you can. That'll help you remember the formula. It is, of course, on your formula sheet, including for MCAP. So let's practice. First of all, we know the formula for the volume of a cone is pi times the radius squared times the height divided by 3. So the first thing we need to do is find the radius. You'll notice they tell me that this is 4 meters, but that is the entire diameter. Remember, we only want the part from the midpoint to the end, so that would be 2 centimeters. And then we have our height here. So my volume equals pi times 2 squared times 6, all divided by 3. So our volume equals pi, 2 squared is 4, times 6 divided by 3. So I know that 4 times 6 is 24 times pi. Remember, we can change the orders, it's multiplication, all divided by 3. Then I'm going to do 24 divided by 3, so my volume equals 8 times pi. We can estimate pi to be about 3.14. So now I'm just going to do 8 times 3.14. And again, you get a calculator for this. So go ahead and make sure that you're using Desmos or whatever calculator you want. 8 times 3.14 gives me a volume of 25.12 rounded to the nearest hundredth. If I wanted to round to the nearest tenth, it would be 25.1. If I wanted to round to the nearest whole number, it would just be 25. That's 25.12 cubic centimeters. Not cubic centimeters, I lied. Cubic meters. Because that is a meter volume for that. So let's look at the next one. Okay, notice this cone is turned on its side. It does not change it. This is still called the height. So again, volume is pi radius squared times h over 3. So here my radius is 1. This time they gave me the radius, not the diameter. So I have the volume equals pi times 1 squared, which we all know is just 1, times 2, all divided by 3. 1 times 2 gives me just 2, so I have 2 pi divided by 3. Again, I'm going to estimate pi to be 3.14. So I'm going to put into my calculator 2 times 3.14 divided by 3. And then that's going to give me something that tells me the volume is 2.09333, and the 3's go on forever. So if I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth, that's that place. The number after that is a 3, so this just becomes 2.09. If I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, it would be 2.1. Just depends what they ask you to round to. Let's try another one again. This time, notice they've given us the volume. And they've given us the radius, and we have to find the height. So our formula is volume equals pi times my radius squared times my height divided by 3. So my volume is 956 equals pi times my radius is 9 9 squared is 81. I'm just going to put the 81 times my height over 3. Okay, so I need to solve this for h. First thing I'm going to do is I want to get rid of this divided by 3. To get rid of the divided by 3, I'm simply going to multiply both sides by 3. So 3 times 956 equals 3 times pi times 81 times h over 3. So 3 times 956 gives me 2,868. And over here, I'm left with pi times 81 times h. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 81. When I do that, I'm going to get 35.407, and then it keeps repeating 407 equals pi times my height. Then I'm just going to divide both sides by pi. Remember, pi is 3.14. And that's going to give me 11.28 equals my height. So there's my height there. All I did was keep multiplying and dividing by things. Let's try one more where we have to find the height. Here I have a radius of 15 yards and a volume of 7,200. So again, 7,200 equals pi times 15 squared times h over 3. I'm going to multiply both sides by 3, which gives me 21,600 equals pi. And then I would change the 15 squared to 225. I'm going to divide both sides by 225. Sorry, putting it into my calculator. Gives me 96 equals pi times my height. Divide both sides by pi. Gives me 30.57. Okay, so not that bad finding the height. We're just sort of working backwards. Now let's look at something that's where we have a real world example. What is the volume of the sand in the hourglass? So they've given us a couple different dimensions. I can see here that my radius is 10. So I'm trying to find the volume. So I'm going to leave that as V. You put my pi, my 3 down here. No, my radius is 10, so that's going to be 100. You guys know 10 squared is 100. And then I have my height over here, 24. Notice they gave us this measurement up here. We don't need it for anything. We don't need that measurement for anything, so we're just going to ignore it. Okay, so I have my volume equals 2,400 pi, guys, multiply the 24 times 100, divided by 3. So my volume equals, divided by 3, 800 times pi. I'm always doing pi last because that's one of the ones that just sort of gets wonky sometimes very quickly. So 800 times 3.14 gives me a volume of 2,512. Not that bad. Wasn't that hard. Let's try one more. Okay. The inside of each glass is shaped like a cone. You guys sort of see this shadow cone here? So these are glasses and they each have a cone inside them. Which glass can hold more liquid and how much more? So I need to solve for glass A and solve for glass B. So I'll be doing two different colors. So glass A, I'm going to do in blue. Glass A, I know that my volume equals pi times my radius is 4. So this would be 16 times 8 divided by 3. So 16 times 8 gives me 128. So I have my volume here equals 128 pi divided by 3. So the volume equals, I can just divide the 128 by 3. 42.67 pi. Now let's try my other one. I'm going to do that one in green. Glass B has its volume equals pi times 3 squared is 9 times 10 over 3. So, in this case, my volume is 90 pi over 3. So my volume is 30 pi. So, glass A holds more, because 42 times pi is going to definitely be more than 30 times pi. And to find out how much more, we can just subtract them. So let's go ahead and estimate each of these. This volume here is 42.67 times 3.14 gives me 134. This time he's going to do the whole numbers. And 30 times 3.14 gives me a volume of 94. So glass A holds about 40 cubic centimeters more. Okay, go ahead and try these on your own, and I will see you in class.